All right, welcome to another edition of the Field of 68 Off the Carousel series. I am Sean Paul, joined by UIC head coach Rob Ehsan. Coach, how you doing so far in your new coaching job at UIC?
Good, man. Just navigating the waters of what it is to take over a new program, and 2024 college basketball off seasons, right, are much different than when I first
Hmm.
started. But no, all is good. Excited to be here in Chicago, an amazing city, obviously, great basketball town. Yeah, great opportunity for myself, my family, and our coaching staff. So we're pumped up.
So you led into my first question perfectly there because I want to ask you about the difference from the first time you were a head coach at UAB, and obviously you got that first head coaching gig at a pretty young age. You're what, 34?
Yeah, 33 when I think I was first head coach. Yeah.
33, now you're 42. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's a bit of a difference, not to age you at all, but now being 42 in your second head coaching gig, do you feel like you learned a lot from that first time you were a head coach to now?
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean, I could write a book, to be honest, Sean, on everything I learned as not only a first-time head coach, as you mentioned, a
Hmm.
33-year-old head coach, taking over a program, was coming off a school record in wins at the
Hmm.
time, taking over a high-level college basketball tradition program, UAB in Birmingham. And it was much different because obviously I was the assistant taking over. And this was prior to the transfer portal, right?
Hmm.
Prior to name, image, and likeness. So I think the biggest thing, as I mentioned, I could write a book on everything I learned, but I think the biggest thing is just perspective. I have such a different mindset. Man, we won every year there, four straight winning seasons, essentially three straight 20-win seasons at the end there before COVID hit. Yeah, so I think the ability, my ability to take what I learned at a young age and use it now, I think is going to make me, as you can imagine, like 100 times better coach, better leader than I was before, and I'm still proud to this day of the stuff that we did do there at UAB.
So you talked about the transfer portal and NIL. Obviously, NIL not a thing at all when you were at UAB. Transfer portal, I mean, you had to sit out a year still back then. So what
Yeah.
is it now? How much more difficult is it being a head coach, especially of a mid-major program? Because you look at a lot of the roster from last year at UIC, you have Isaiah Rivera, who's at DePaul. You have Toby Okani, who's at West Virginia. You have CJ Jones, who's at Kansas State. So, like, a lot of these dudes are transferring. How do you build a program in one season? Like that's a tough gig.
Well, I think you know this, Sean. Back before NIL, before the portal, when you took over a job,
Hmm.
especially a job that maybe hadn't had a lot of success, right? Historic success,
Hmm.
a job that, like, UIC was going into it's just recently gone into the Missouri Valley, a much higher level conference than they were before. So a lot of change is going on, and you know this. Before, it would be like, all right, coach, Eson's going to have 5 years to build this thing, and you know what I mean, and get his
Yep.
recruits in there. I
Hmm.
mean, this good and bad. It's a total opposite. There is no. I've been saying this to everybody. There is no reason the Missouri Valley. I have so much respect for, especially some of the coaches that have been here and the programs. But with everything I just said, there is really no reason we shouldn't be able to compete for a championship right away at a school like UIC, as long as we get the right guys here. And they had a lot of talent last year, as you mentioned. Their leading scorers essentially, or three of the top maybe five leading scorers transferred in the transfer portal to high major schools. But up to this point, we're 8 weeks into the job. We retained two starters from last year's team, Philip Scoball and Ethan Pickett, two very important players that
Hmm.
I think can have great, and they're older guys. I think will have great, senior years. We've essentially signed. Shoot, it's hard to keep track of right now, but I think we're at 10. So we've signed 8 guys, have another one or two coming, and we feel good about our team. Like, we feel good that we're gonna have a chance to be really good. And look, Chicago and UIC has a lot to sell, especially
Hmm.
now that it's in the Missouri Valley. And I think my background coaching at all the high places that I've been at, coaching all the pros, recruiting all the pros that I've recruited. We had the combine was in Chicago, obviously, last week. I don't know if you
Hmm.
guys were there, but every basketball was there. We got an opportunity to just, see all those guys, a handful of the draftees and lottery picks were working out in our gym. So just taking advantage of all that stuff, I think has put us in a great position to, not rebuild, to try to win right away, which is 100% our goal.
So do you think we talked about how before it was 5 years to get your guys and get everything going. Now with the transfer portal, there's some good and some bad with it, right? You're able to win faster, I would probably say, right? You think you could probably win faster than if you're bringing your own guys in from high school and trying to figure it out that way, right?
I think there's opportunity. Now, with it, as you said, comes some challenges.
Mm-hmm.
When you have what we're have 11 new guys, how do they all blend? The chemistry thing, right? So I think the opportunity to win faster is definitely there. But I mean, just like anything, it obviously comes with challenges as well.
Mm-hmm. So talking about your roster so far, you mentioned Philip Scoball and Ethan Pickett. Scoball, really, I actually like his game quite a bit. The way he could shoot the ball at the size, he's a really solid player. I think he could be really good, of course. Then you had some guys with Ty Freeman and Josh Reeves and Javen Jackson, Ahmad Henderson, Sasa Siani. Those are some big-time names that are coming in, guys who played at higher levels. Obviously, Jackson at Utah State, Siani at Xavier, Freeman at Kent State last year. How do those guys fit into this team and what you want to do at UIC?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, Sean. We tried to put an emphasis on a few things. One is we didn't want to recruit a whole team full of guys that had 1 year left. Okay.
Mm,
I think because of chemistry and that kind of thing. And Ty Freeman had 1 year left, as you mentioned. Our returners, Ethan and Philip have 1 year left. But Ahmad Henderson, from Chicago, all freshman team, at Niagara last year, 3 years left, dynamic combo guard. Javon Jackson played an integral role off the bench at Utah State, has 2 years left. I mean, both of those guys, if they continue on the path they've been going the last year or two, I mean, the sky's the limit for both of them. Josh Reeves has been as a 2 or 3 year starter at Mount St. Mary's, went to the NCAA tournament, elite shooter. Ty Freeman, as you said, played at Central Florida,
mm-hmm.
had some injuries, played at Kent State, 46% from three. And then as the big guys, Big Modestus, we recruited him from Cal State Bakersfield. He is one of the guys that has 1 year left, but with him and Sasha Siani inside, you have two European bigs that we feel like fit how we want to play. So I think it was a little bit of like, we want to play fast. We want to push the tempo. We want to really get the ball inside more than they did last year. They relied a lot on the three last year. We want to shoot threes, but we want to get paint points and we want to really get to the free throw line and be aggressive. But also the way it's shaping out too, a little intentional, is just, I think we have an athletic guard group, like a guard group that's pretty athletic for the league. And, look, the Missouri Valley is traditionally big, strong, smart, great shooting league. I think we have a chance to do something a little bit different in terms of pace, tempo, athleticism, aggressiveness. So that was kind of the mindset as we shaped it. And everyone wants to know how you're going to play, and I get it. And every coach, every coach in the country says they're going to play fast. Did it, last year at Stanford, the last 2 years, we set kind of records for offensive efficiency. With our defense struggled, but man, offensively, we did some amazing things. So we're going to try to be a lot of what we did. As I said, everyone says that, but at the end of the day, as a coach, you got to, in today's day and age, you don't pick your players. You don't recruit guys for 6 or 7 months, evaluate them. Do they really fit my style? I watch 10 times and we get them.
Yeah, it's
so
like
as
speed
a coach,
dating.
you got,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think one of the biggest things you have to do to be a head coach right now, one of the biggest components is you got to be able to adapt. You got to be adaptable. You got to who your players are, to who they are as players, to who they are as people, to the transfer portal. Like you have to be on your feet, quickly able to adapt. And I think, we're going to try to do our best. I have a vision, but look, at the end of the day, we're going to get our guys to play hard, play together, and then put them in the position to play to their strengths. And there's still going to be we got a summer to figure that out, to be honest.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook. We're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 throughout the year. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use bonus code FIELD, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. The best part, all you need to do is deposit and bet $10 of your own hard-earned money to be eligible. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using that bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. BetMGM is going to have some fun offers available throughout the NBA playoffs. Bet insurance tokens, odds boost, and what I love, a nice parlay boost or two from time to time, as well as a ridiculous array of player prop bets for any sport that you could possibly imagine betting on. BetMGM is and always will be the king of the prop bet. So go download the BetMGM app, use the bonus code FIELD, and sign up today. And while I've got you, a quick request. The best way to support the Field of 68 content that you get for free is to engage with us. Rate and review the podcast. Like and share the YouTube videos. Tell your friends about us. It all helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to the show.
So you mentioned how everybody says they want to play with pace. You guys didn't play very fast when you were the head coach at UAB. Is that, again, something that depends on your personnel, or are you making an effort to want to play a lot faster than you did at UAB?
So listen, I think at UAB, I micromanaged offense just too much, and we were good. Trust me, we were good, right? Like we had a good offensive efficiency record. But I think one of the things I learned afterwards is we just were too, I just micromanaged it probably too much. And what it did was it kept us in a lot of games, right? We played a lot of close games. Also probably limited a little bit of our ability to go on runs and our ability for guys to maybe individually maybe show more what they could do. And so I think I still want to have some of the UAB stuff of just being intentional about getting our guys in good spots. But I think more importantly, now, I just think it's just a better way to play. It's a more enjoyable way. And I think it can lead to your team being a better version of themselves. So definitely, yeah, something different since I was the head coach at UAB.
So what was it about this job that really made sense for you to take? Because I'm sure you've had plenty of options throughout the years to do different things. What was it about the UIC job that really made you want to get back into it as a head coach?
So, yeah, I think the biggest thing was, a place where I felt like I could recruit student athletes and win a championship at a high level. And I think I did have a few opportunities here in the offseason to interview for, a few jobs and all that. And I think the thing that UIC is, it's in a place that I've recruited, that I'm familiar with, that I knew I could build a staff that had great connections to. One, it was a level in the Missouri Valley where I thought, again, I could recruit a high level student athletes. And it's and in a place, that I just think you can sell. So I think all of those things together, and I've been lucky enough at high level places, my whole career, I think just fit me. Then the Missouri Valley was the 10th best conference, in the country last year. And we're selling that right now. We're selling that in recruiting. And I think it's an attractive place to where we can get guys that can put ourselves in a position to win a championship.
So another question kind of based off that Google interview thing you did with UIC when you took the job. I watched that. It's pretty interesting. You said your favorite food is pizza, right? I've never had Chicago deep dish pizza. Can you confirm or deny that it's actually good? Because I'm skeptical.
You know what? I've had one time, like the historic place downtown.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, it took forever to come out. So I was like, they're really
Bad
cooking
start.
this thing from scratch. Yeah, exactly. Cooking this thing from scratch, but it was good. I mean, listen, it wasn't the best I've ever had.
Okay.
Ironically, Sean, there's a place, the food in Chicago is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The food in the West Loop of Chicago is absolutely amazing. Okay. And I would say one interesting thing about it is I was in Birmingham for 9 years living there. This barbecue place has the best barbecue I've ever had in my life in Chicago,
Really?
believe it or not. Yes,
Wow.
yeah. And so take away the pizza, but this this barbecue place, Green Street Meats, I think it's called. Man,
Okay.
it's amazing. It has been some absolutely, like, the food actually, I'm not a foodie at all. Okay. As you can tell by pizza, like, being one of my favorite foods,
It's a good
but
food.
yeah, but the food in Chicago, oh my gosh, it has been, I have been like blown away how good some of the restaurants are, especially right by our campus.
So Chicago food is better than Birmingham food. Is that what we're getting from Coach Ehsan right
No
here?
question. No
Oh, okay.
question.
Okay.
100%. Yes. And California and Palo Alto. Yes, for sure.
Really? Okay. Interesting. So,
Yeah.
so moving off the food topic, for you guys to have a successful first season at UIC, what has to happen?
Yeah. I think we have to have great chemistry. And we have to be unselfish and find a good rotation of guys that are playing the right way. To me, that's
Mm.
with so many new guys and a lot of talented new guys playing for each other and having good chemistry, to me, is going to be the biggest key for our success. And we're going to start trying to build it this summer.
All right. Thank you for your time, Coach. That was Coach Rob Ehsan with UIC. We'll have more off the carousel interviews coming up here on the Field of 68 very soon, so stay tuned.